All right, now we want to look into electronic configuration, right? So this is just an introduction. Okay, so electronic configuration is the arrangement of electrons in their orbital shells. But there are three basic rules that you need to follow when arranging electrons in orbital shells. We use the proton number for electronic configuration instead of the other atomic masses. We specifically use the proton number. Right, so the three rules are: the first shell must contain a maximum of 2 electrons. A maximum of 2 electrons, we mean electrons not exceeding 2, can have 1, can have 2, but cannot have 3, which is the first shell. The second shell and all other shells contains a maximum of 8 electrons. 8 electrons. But the last shell contains the remaining electrons even if they are less than 8. So in simple terms, first shell is 2, all other shells is 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. That is if you still have electrons which can reach the value of 8. But if you are now remaining with less than 8, then you put them in the last shell. Right, we have an example here. We have carbon. Carbon has 6 electrons which are arranged in 2 energy shells, or the energy shells simply means the orbital shells that we have. So panapa ndo anenge ari mumaseko aya. C ari pakati apo pachidiagram icho represents carbon. And then as you can see on the first circle, the first inner circle from inside the first smaller circle, there are 2 electrons there, which means 2 electrons in the first shell. The second shell is now having 4 electrons. Why are we having 4 electrons in the second shell? Because it is the last shell. We no longer have 8 electrons, we only have 4 remaining, because we were sharing 6 electrons. 6 electrons, 2 in the first shell. Out of 6, that's around 4. So the 4 are now going to be in the last shell. We also have an example here, argon. Argon have 18 electrons, so we are sharing 18 electrons. How are we going to do that? The first shell, as always, must contain a maximum of 2 electrons. That's why we have a 2 there, which is in purple. Right. The second shell and all other shells must have 8 electrons, as long as achiri kukwana 8. So mu second shell tawataita 8. Now taisa 2 pekutanga, mesh 2 tikaisa 8 ava 10, and then out of 18 tasarane 8. Then the remaining 8 are going to be in the last shell. So argon, you have 3 shells. Right, we also have hydrogen here. Hydrogen only have 1 electron, so we are simply going to put it in the first shell, and then we are done. So as you can see on the diagram there, that is your periodic table, but it is showing the electronic configurations of the first 20 elements of the periodic table, right? From hydrogen to calcium. As you can see, those 2.1, 2.2, 2.82, all those values, they are representing the electronic configurations of each element as shown.